I got a new bag. My daughter, baby, I have to get all these information. I can act like I know what I'm talking about. I mean, do you have any particular distance?
Just take care of each other separately.
Now, is that's, no, not the relay, is that twice around the track or something?
No, it's
Once around the entire track. She ran for Reynolds a couple years ago, and I'd never seen her run. I went to the first track meet, and she took off, and she was coming around, and she was passing everybody, and I go, oh my God, that's my baby, and I'm standing up, that's my baby, go, and it's like, she told me that she heard me, and she was so humiliated, she wanted to stop and go back to the other direction.
Hello to the debate.
See?
Yeah, I'm on the McCaskey team here.
Okay, now what's the debate? Is that just arguing or something?
Well, no, it's I do some the individualized kind called Lincoln Douglas.
To list as many groups as there are wherever you go, at home, wherever. List all the groups, any group you can think of. To see some crowns or things like that, you understand. Okay, I belong to a group in school about the jocks, about the cheerleaders, about AP students. We all belong to groups. List as many groups as you can on that piece of paper.
Give examples of these jobs. Like the crab. Arena gym. Put my digest. Yeah, something like that.
What do we have?
The wannabes, crabs, jacks, headbangers, nerds, beds, get along gang, and nuns and
Lemon.
lettuce, all of pineapple.
Giovanna? Joviana. Sweetie? Fine. Michelle.
Are they in classrooms also?
I have one more activity I want to do, it's a fun activity to get us moving. Has anybody done the birthday line before? Done it? Okay. Don't tell, just go along with it if you would, if you've done it before. Okay. Everybody here, of course, knows your birthday. And what I want is this whole group to get in one line from, say, this table here, a straight line, all the way back as far as we need to go. Okay, a line according to your birthday. Like which one was first, second, third in the calendar year. Now the only catch is you can't speak to each other when you do this.
Was it in the calendar year or year by year by year?
You guys are good. Wow. Okay. Wait, they're still deciding that.
Just a month right now.
The month and the day. Okay, I'll give you a little bit more time. If you have the same month, then get the days in line too.
Her favorite vacation spots are North Carolina and England. She's a junior at Donegal and she's the class president. This is Nicole. She's a student here at McCaskey. This is Jenny Long. She's from McCaskey. She likes Munster cheese with mustard and tomatoes and cucumbers as her sandwich. She likes Colorado ice cream and summer ice cream. She likes Canis chocolate and Aretha Franklin.
Mine's are really close.
Okay. The Donegal senior. The most interesting thing about Trish is her theory about sandwiches. And that she's one of those people who, when she gets a sandwich, she opens them up and picks out the middle and eats that and leaves the bread. Both of that.
That shot, Corey. The ears. Never underestimate the powers on the handicap.
The ear.
Can we say hi to you, Corey? Taking attendance.
Oh, she's taking attendance.
I'm not on it. Please put me on it. I did.
Okay, can I have your attention, please?
We want our first game.
What I would like for you to do now is, starting with group one, who's group one? Group one, stand up, hold your paper up in front of you, and read off your list of groups to the rest.
Math club, snob, preps, geeks, bimbos, homegirls, homeboys, bags and lesbians, airheads, bigs, jigaboos, camel jockeys, diggers, gooks, booty, people, code, hippies, Muslims, losers, Christians, parents, students, Americans, KKK, Republicans, Democrats, Panthers, neo-Nazis, ears.
Drug dealers, okay?
In here and the purple in here. Line. And if you want to pull your chairs, green and green. So try to match the purple cards with the blue ones. Leave their families. Do Jews leave their families? What do you think?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Do you think that's a stereotype or it's nothing at all?
Nothing at all.
Okay. Who wants to go next? Blacks. Are minorities. With our minorities. So that goes. Why not?
At one time, but not now.
You don't think so? Who
They're
thinks?
safe
Some
some
places though.
Yeah, it depends. Like you're in McCaskey.
I think Spanish people.
It's like at our school, like in Philly. Okay, Lori says here at McCaskey, blacks are not minorities anymore. At Enfield, they are minorities. Okay, do you want to leave it with them or do you want to, I think they are still minorities. Who disagree with me? Why do you disagree with me?
Because as America as a whole, they're minorities.
No, you agree, you don't disagree.
She said disagree. Oh, I don't disagree.
She agrees. Okay, who disagrees? Okay, do you want to leave it like that or you want to look for a better one? Leave it like that. Leave it like that? Okay. Who wants to go next? Okay, Dorothy. Women. Women. And I have love, rights, Dirty. Who else wants to be?
Farmers? Are rich.
No.
Depends where you farm at.
What do you think she's going to be when she grows up?
Tell me somebody. My grandma. That's what I'm going to do.
You might want to guess what she does now instead of what she's going to be when she gets older.
Now I'm a mother, have a clothing business, and a school worker, volunteer.
So your career is in your clothing business. Right? Who do you have?
And I have Jen Hatch. And I was thinking that Jen might be in fashion design because she looks like she is, for a high school student, interested in clothes or fashion.
Early childhood or elementary? Okay. Do you ever think about being a fashion designer? Okay. Okay. Who do you have?
Oh, I have. And I don't know. You can look at that.
A nurse?
No, I'm being equine veterinarian.
A what?
Equine veterinarian.
An equine, is that horses?
Horse veterinarian.
A horse veterinarian.
You know, like language is evolving, we're changing the way we
Physically challenged.
physically challenged, you know, or certainly handicapped is getting to be one of those, you know, borderline. So if you could turn to somebody, again, it could be the same person for the sake of time. If I were doing this in a regular workshop setting, you know, you have a chance throughout the day to work with a different person, you know, to your benefit and also to theirs. But if we could do our first thoughts about differently able, physically challenged, we'll use that word. People who are physically challenged, what are some of the things that we think or we've heard about people who are, it could be physically challenged visually or, you know, by hearing or, you know, other physical ways. Okay. Okay, just for, okay. 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 And of course, when you throw these things out, I don't imply that that's the way you feel. It's just things that we've heard. So, but, okay. You feel bad. Okay.
So that's like incredible love for life.
Okay. Yeah. Now, think about these statements that we're saying for people who are physically challenged. And think about it, how they would apply to you. Does anybody in this room want pity? How about anybody here have an incredible love for life? Yeah. know. Do you feel bad for some people who are not physically challenged? No. Some of you say yes, some say no. Are there some people who are not physically challenged that you might think are stupid? That you might think are stupid? You know. Are there people who are not physically challenged who are strong-willed? Okay. One thing that I just want to quickly share with you, I met a young woman who was in a wheelchair, and she was really angry. And she said the reason why she was angry is because people took away her humanity because she was in a wheelchair. And she said she could be just as evil and bitchy and dishonest as anybody else. But because she was in a wheelchair, people thought she was just such this wonderful person. And she said she's just a normal, regular person. She gets up on the wrong side of the bed some days and she wants to kick her cat. She wants to run over old ladies in the street. She said because she's in a wheelchair, don't automatically make her a saint, because she's not. She said that's the one area that she has a problem with people who want to understand her. They assign all these superhuman characteristics to her because she's physically challenged. And that's, to her, it's just as detrimental as pity. It's just as detrimental. So that's just an awareness. Boy, I hope I have the right ones. We'll see how this works out. What I want you to do, okay. Start in the back and pass out the police cards. Take one. And up here, you'll take one of these. Nah, doesn't matter. Just grab one. And I hope it looks out, okay? Procedure.
More than 5 groups in your school. Not many. Okay. How about you're either male or female, you're in a track, or you belong to some kind of grouping as far as your grade level, you're either freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, you ride the bus to school or you walk to school. There are times that we are the targeted group. When we're in the majority, we oftentimes forget that we're members of the targeted group. I belong to a group that is all males. A couple of weeks ago, we had a meeting and someone brought up the subject of inviting females to be members of the group. And we have about 45 members, and I would say that of the 45 members, we were split down the middle as to whether we would include females in our group. And here are some of the arguments. They don't know how to make decisions. They talk too much. See some of the other things they said. We'll never get anything done. They control everything. They're always complaining. Do any of these things sound familiar to you? Okay. This group is males. Females involved in the group, we have a different point of view. Yes. Did I vote for the women to be in? I'll get to that. Okay. We'll have a diverse point of view, we'll have different opinions, and we'll also think different ideas. And one of the things the reason that we belong into a community like this is that we're all looking for one thing. You're all students, you're looking to graduate from high school, you want to get an education. My arguments were positive for having women in the group. For one thing, I've been discriminated against most of my life. For
Just say black people with that.
Okay, what else? I know you have a lot. And don't, we are not going to offend anybody here. We just want to know what we hear, what sometimes we said, that affects each one of us. Otherwise, that it was a lie, a white lie. This is a lie.
That's like a little lie.
It was instead of a little white was. What about the black sheep of the family? Person is pushed out, and mom is called okay. How many other sayings can we find out about white and black? Like the black sheep of the family?
Corey, why are you taping?
The key of Jordan? Everybody's taping. We don't know. I can't say we don't know. But we observe that. Is it true that blacks are the black sheep in the family? Like if we're Hispanics in our house and stuff, and they said some of the kids are not behaving, that's the black sheep of the family. With the color, and color of the bad things. And white goes with angels, with cows, with others. We can describe the white. That the black hat, what does black hat mean?
Okay, you were black.
Black flag.
A little bit, right? Okay, we're gonna play, we don't have too much time, we're gonna play the video game.
Yeah, that's Black Friday. That's awesome. Good.
Okay, Ramonita. How many of you know Ramonita? Or Ramonita is any of you in your class?
What did you say?
Do you know Ramonita? Is she in your class? No? Okay. Ramonita, would you like to play the career game?
We said friends, create stereotypes, family, TV. How about anything you read? Is there any magazines, books? Does that have anything? Media in general, I guess. Any other influences? How about religion? Does that play a part in anybody's? Because some people are very religious people, whatever it is, and they might have their own.
I'm Jewish, and at my synagogue, our rabbi is always telling us a lot. We have discussions about anti-Semitism, and it's very easy. One of my friends who's a Swede, and she gets a lot of hate from that idea. She gets swastikas made out of honor and stuff like that. We talk about that kind of stuff a lot.
Okay. That's a real harmful thing, but if you're through your religion, they try to give faith to work against it and stay peaceful about things. Okay. Anybody else? So religion, there's many influences. How about your teachers? Teachers, you spend most time out of your day probably with teachers than anybody else in your school. And do teachers influence, or do you hear teachers talk about ethnic groups, or are there jokes that go on, or do teachers paint any kind of picture, positive or negative? Dave?
Like when I was a sophomore, there was a decent track coach made a comment about we had, I think, one athlete who was black on the team, and he got beat by a white guy. He said something like that you should be able to work this, you're black, or something like that. He said it in front of the whole team, and next day he got quit team. He's going to different school, and he left school.
Okay. How did you feel when you heard that comment being made?
Positive, yeah. Not like him.
Okay.
I was really happy to say that to somebody in front of the whole team. Yeah.
Did you ever tell them you know about that? Did any of the students tell?
Oh, I'm sure they did.
And see what happened, a real negative action happened when the kid felt that he wasn't accepted, he left the school because he felt bad about that incident.
think it also goes the other way around. My first ethnic, non-white teacher I had was Mr. Scott, who's an English teacher here, who is one of the most amazing teachers I've ever had in my life. And I don't think I'll ever have a teacher as amazing as him. And if I would have had, and I know that I do have certain imprints, just from the way I've grown up, just certain imprints on my life of different races, I think that he helped to wipe away what I had because of just, you see in the media, as other people said, the different perceptions of the different races, and he is African American, and he was just amazing. I mean, if you've ever seen the movie Dead Poets Society, he's comparable to, the Professor Keating in that, Robin Williams. He was amazing, and I was just really fortunate to have him, and that he was non-white just was actually an added support for that.
Okay, so you have a positive role model of a different ethnic group there that really helped you realize a lot of things about probably yourself and other students too. Heather?
Well, there are times like at my school, I'm the only black student in the whole level, and there's one other girl. And we don't have one black teacher, we don't have one Hispanic teacher, we don't have one Hispanic child in the whole entire school, because it's like kindergarten through 12. We don't have one Hispanic person. So the only view we get of people is like if we go in town. And I know that from friends that I've had at McCaskey, they treat me awful because I go to country ed. It's like, you're trying to be white, you're trying to be something that you're not, and they put me down. And therefore my parents, especially my father, doesn't like me to be around. Like, he's not black, and he lives all the way in Tennessee. So he's always around black people who, like down there's a lot of crime. So it's kind of like he puts a label on the black people, and he doesn't like me to be around black people at all because he thinks that they put a bad influence on me. And so in my school, I just don't think that is serious at all. But any other experiences of mine.
How do you feel about that? The message you get
At
from
first, it
your
really bothered me, and at first I was really worried the way I was treated, especially by people like at this school. But now I'm kind of over it, An incident happened where one girl here, a white girl, came out to my house and followed me out to my house with 3 black girls. And they came into my house and fought me, and my ankle was broken. And so now it's just like I have this whole thing. It's kind of bad. I have a thing against people being McCaskey, It's like, I'm very upset by the whole thing. And just the way that they treat me is wrong.
And you're talking about people from your own race that are treating you like this.
Yeah.
And that hurts.
Yeah, it does.
Like, do you talk to anybody about this? Your mother?
No, I talk to my friends at school because they're the only people that support me. Nobody here supports me. They're just, if you're not like them, then you're just not good enough for them, It's awful.
Glad you're here today.
I was kind of nervous about coming today.
You seem a little less nervous now.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm glad you're here.
Karen?
I will read something for guys when they talk about things like that. I think it was in Chicago how there's some black girls that attend the same school, and one's like a violinist and the other's really smart, and she wants to be a doctor. And there's other girls in that school that harass her and want to beat her up for nothing less than the fact that she's smart and that they're into other things and they say that they can't be like that. And, I was reading something else and I really liked it, what I had to say. It was called, it's just a little insert in the magazine. It's called The Topics of Blackism. She said, I want to know why I have to dress a certain way, and I have to talk a certain way, and I have to be a certain way to be so-called black. She said to me, that is not being black. For me, being black is being proud of who I am, being proud of my culture, understanding me, and they want to understand others. That's what being black is about a so-called label. And I think it's like that with all cultures. I get really frustrated when people always have to label others. I don't even sometimes like talk about it. I get really angry. Like, why can't a white person talk a certain way, they dress a certain way, and enjoy certain music, and have to be, like,
a wannabe.
That's not a wannabe because that's not being black. That's appreciating a certain music, appreciating a certain style. And I think I didn't think they would get that in any way.
Were you agreeing with her? I saw somebody.
Everybody's here. Before you do anything like that,
We have to turn it off first.
it doesn't really turn on. That could be a problem. Okay, don't worry about that. Because I'll figure that out. Okay.
And his committee have been working on preparations for this day. Marco attended a governor's school where he outlined the plans for this day also. Okay, much planning and time and effort has been put into this day. And as you can notice, as you walk down the halls, you can see a lot of words on different lockers and puzzle pieces hanging from the ceiling and banners that are posted throughout the school. And a lot of time has been put into them, and we ask that you respect the work that's been put into them and leave them in place. For everyone that will be attending workshops throughout the day, you should have received a memo in your homeroom. On that memo, it states which workshops you will be attending, what periods they are, and where you are to report. So if you did get a memo in homeroom, we ask that you do report on time to these workshops and to the proper place. Additionally, throughout the day, teachers, all the faculty and staff members have been given warm fuzzies or yellow smiley face stickers. These stickers will be handed out to students that have demonstrated positive human relation actions throughout the day. And also, I would like, before I turn over the assembly to the speaker, I would like to welcome all the students from the Lancaster County Human Relations Committee Education Subcommittee. The visitors are coming from such schools as Lancaster Country Day School, Pequay Valley, Conestoga Valley, Hempfield, Lancaster, Strasburg, Donegal, Elizabethtown, and Slanco. And now I would like to turn over the assembly to our keynote speaker, Ms. Reverend Louis Butcher. Reverend Louis Butcher is the director of the Lancaster County Human Relations Commission. Reverend Butcher.
I'd like to thank Heidi and Marco, the committee, Mr. Seifert, and Ms. Frank for inviting me here to spend a few minutes with you to kick off the first Human Relations Day here at McCaskey. And it's a real pleasure to be here, and I applaud you for what you are doing today. Certainly it's not something that's just started, and I'm convinced and hope that it will not be something that ends. I would like to talk to you briefly about the state of human rights here in Lancaster and how it may impact on you both now and in the future. And I tell you, I've had a lot of years in the human rights field. Matter of fact, when I was your age, or when I was a student here at McCaskey and subsequent to that at Franklin Marshall College, had the good fortune of coming along when the civil rights era was at its height. Had the opportunity of hearing in person persons like Dr. Martin Luther King and others. Be able to have heard Malcolm X, and even during the years of militancy and additional pride, Panthers and others were prominent. I came up in that era. And what I find is that while things have changed in the last 30 years, they really haven't. And prejudice is still very much alive. And what we're really talking about today is the fact that my goal, and hopefully your goal as well, is to have a prejudice-free society, not only within the confines of this school, but throughout Lancaster City and County, and ultimately throughout our nation. And quite frankly, it's not going to happen by somebody else doing it. It's going to be really up to you and to me to get it done. So for a moment or two, I'd really like to talk about how we can get there from here. Drive-by shootings, muggings, firing of weapons, drug-related activities, general disregard for authority, it goes on and on. And I'm sure you've heard that these things, and you realize that these kind of things tend to label a whole school, a whole community, a whole neighborhood, a whole town. It's unfair, but when those type of activities take place in a neighborhood or in a town, the town itself gets unfairly labeled. You and I both know that usually it's a very small minority of persons, yet clearly it is the majority that suffers. And most of you, I'm sure, are good, reliable citizens, but you will ultimately suffer because of the actions of a few. Now, you might say that's a bad rap and that's unfair. The fact of the matter is that with stereotypical prejudice, everyone tends to be seen in the same light. And this is done by a remarkably high number of people that are not involved in your world. And all kinds of things like that really get blown out of proportion. Just very briefly, a few years ago, my daughter and I lived in the southeast area of the city. As many of you know, that area gets a bad rap. Grew up there, still live there, and stay there. But my daughter, who was a student here at the school a few years ago, had to be brought home after an activity by somebody who didn't live in the southeast. And this was an adult. The person actually cried and said, "I'm afraid to take you home because something terrible is going to happen to you." And the fact of the matter is that people come in and out of the southeast all the time, and bad things don't happen to them. On occasion, bad things do happen, but they can happen anywhere in this town or anywhere in this county. But there's some stereotypical things that are labeled about certain areas, and it's not fair. Well, what is it all about, really? Isn't it about prejudice? And let me tell you, that prejudice is ugly, and prejudice is not productive. Sometimes we take a stereotypical look at everything that's around us, and even at ourselves. And sometimes prejudice in those forms seems to be funny. But when you really analyze it, and just about everybody has prejudices of some kind, it's really not funny. When you think about things that just in general seem to be true. There's a movie coming out right now that some of you will go see that Wesley Snipes is starring in. But let me tell you, there are some white men who can jump. There are some African Americans who can't dance. There are some Asians who don't get all A's. There are some Latinos and Hispanics who can't fix cars. Now, and you would be surprised how many people outside of these walls think the very things that I just talked about. And everyone always does. And it sounds funny at times, but it's really kind of tragic because people build up those kind of feelings about you and about us. And all of a sudden, it takes a very subtle relationship for you, which results in your not being able to get ahead in this life. There is no shortage of discrimination, bigotry, racism, sexism, or prejudice outside. And you have to understand that when you leave this place, regardless of how well you get along here, that there's a world out there that's not necessarily going to appreciate you for who you are, but for what they think you are. Right at our Office of Human Relations, each year, and last year in particular, we received nearly 2,000 contacts or calls from persons who felt that something unfair had happened to them. We had 159 actual formal cases of perceived or alleged discrimination. And this represented 45% higher than the previous year. This year is running at the same pace or greater. Part of it is the time. As you well know, these economic times, slowdown in the economy, recessionary times, really causes overt prejudice to rear its ugly head. And it also brings to the forefront various hate groups, all of which you have heard about. KKK, Klan was right here in Lancaster last year. They'll be coming back to York County and probably Lancaster County again this year. Aryan Nation, skinheads, neo-Nazis, and it goes on and on. And they're all out there. And none of this really is new. In a moment or two I have left to talk to youth in Lancaster. Some of you may know the city. And when I was a kid, to live on South Lime Street, you had to tell a landlord who was advertising in the newspaper, you had to tell them when you called them, the term we used then was colored, you had to say, I'm colored. Do you rent to colored people? And the answer, more than likely, on South Lime Street, which is in the heart of the southeast area of Lancaster, the answer was no. There was a park, Rocky Springs, not far from here, it's out of business now. Each year, African Americans would go there. They were allowed to use all of the facilities except the swimming pool. And each year, during the time of the general picnic that was held, a sign would be put up that the pool was either being repaired or cleaned. But what it really meant was the persons that were in the park would not get in. I was a news carrier. And when the newspaper had its picnic there, my supervisor came and said, Lou will give you extra tickets for other rides if you don't try to go into the pool. Maple Grove, which is recently out of business, had a very restrictive policy. When I was in High Y, right here at McCaskey, when we graduated, we went out to Mount Gretna. I was the only African American in the group. We went to Mount Gretna to have a pool party. When I got there, the manager, very red-faced, said to me, and the person that was with me, I'm sorry, you can't come in here. I said, why? I took a shower this morning. What's the problem? He said, it's not my policy. The ownership of the pool said no Negroes in those days were allowed in the pool. I think, showing the kind of spirit that the rest of the group had, they said, well, if Lou can't come in, then none of us will go in. So we had our party outside on the lawn. But the point of the matter is that prejudice was alive then and it's alive now. Not in South Africa, not in Mississippi, not in Alabama, but right here in Lancaster. Well, you must know that, and you must know that in order to overcome this, you really don't have to prove anything to anyone in the outside world. I want you to understand that. I'm not asking you to prove anything to anyone else. I'm simply saying to be honest to yourself, to realize that prejudice is out there, to understand that because you go to a city school or you're from township, that many people will look at you and label you with misconduct and crime. They'll lump everybody into the same kettle. And so whether you like it or not, we're all in this together. And so since we're in this together, it would seem like to me that we would start taking some time out to identify the things that separate us and work to make those things and enhance those things that are similar about us. I understand that there could even be bad feelings between various groups right here in the school. And let me tell you, it just won't work. Either you will struggle together against prejudice, or you will struggle against each other, and you will not make it. Trust me. How do we get there from here? to a society free of prejudice? Well, believe it or not, it starts with me. It starts with you, the individual. I'm really not responsible for anybody else in this room except myself. There's a few things you ought to do, in my opinion. First of all, develop and enhance your moral character. Jesse Jackson said a few years ago, be somebody. And if nobody else ever tells you that you're somebody, you tell yourself, I am somebody. And I don't have to put up with anybody else's nonsense. I don't have to prove to them who I am. They have to prove to me that I'm not who I think that I am. And then the second thing you have to do is have some real respect. Respect for people that are like you, respect for people that are different from you, respect for people who don't have your abilities, and respect for those that do. For those that are able to accomplish more than you are, boost them up, and for those who can't accomplish at your level, pull them up. And let them know that we're all in this together. I'm a preacher, and I can't bring a lot of that into the school, but all of you ought to have some kind of religious background, religious beliefs. Can't tell you who to believe in, but you ought to consider that there are higher powers than yourself. And if you can tap into that, you can understand that there is a global and outside, a cosmic help that is available to you. Be committed to hard work in the classroom. Whether you like your teacher, whether your teacher likes you, immaterial. The fact of the matter is, the teacher has his or hers, you got to get yours. When you get outside these four walls, nobody's going to care who your teacher was. You want to know, can you get the job done? So don't fool yourself. Hard work starts within. And then try to understand those that are around you. Try to figure out why they act the way that they do. Try to walk a mile in their shoes. Try to figure out if they don't treat you right, why they don't. Maybe if you can figure out what their problem is, it won't be a problem for you. And then finally, be determined to be a model. Be determined that McCaskey High School will be a model school. Regardless of what anybody says or thinks, that you're going to make this the model school for human relations. It will be a place where people can come and feel good about being here. And regardless of what they're capable of, they'll know that somebody in this school cares about them. It's a big challenge. I'm convinced, and I've got faith, and I've got a belief in all of you, that if you've never tried it before, starting today, that you really get the job done. My time is up. I'm starting to sound like a preacher, and with all of you here, if I was going to preach to you, I'd pass an offering plate, because it's pretty nice bunch of people here. But they won't let me do that. So I just want to thank you for the time that we shared together.